Hail YouTube, Dominions, Dumentites, and Archvillains! Thank you all for supporting me in my effort to save pop culture. And I would ask you please make sure you are still subbed, turn on your notification bell, and if you are not subscribed, please consider doing so. This channel could use your support. Thank you, and enjoy this video. My friends, the comic book apocalypse is upon us. All hyperbole aside, we are looking at the final death throes of the industry a lot of us grew up loving, and they have no one to blame but themselves. The comic book industry has been in decline for at least a decade now, bleeding from the cuts of 1,000 self-inflicted wounds. Marvel and DC have rebooted their comic book universes so much that superheroes are now completely unmoored from their own identities and histories, to the point that Captain America is a Hydra agent, Spider-Man is either a gay Hispanic or a clone, Iron Man isn't a man, but a woman of color, and fewer people than ever give a damn. Get woke, go broke is a cliche because it's true, and the injection of insane doses of self-righteous virtue-signaling wokeitude has driven a large segment of the comic book audience away from comics altogether, or into the past, reading back issues from a time when these characters were still recognizable as themselves. Price hikes, variant covers, no return policies, ignoring the desires of consumers, arrogance and stupidity, all of these elements have contributed to the crashing and burning of comics. But now, in a perfect storm of utter insanity coupled with a global emergency, Marvel Comics and Diamond Distributors have now triggered a comic book apocalypse that is literally poised to destroy the industry forever. There are 4 horsemen of this particular apocalypse. The first was unavoidable, the contagion that has set all of us into seclusion. This is a devastating blow to all businesses across the board, true. But add to that colossal stupidity of the highest order, and you get a comic book holocaust poised to wipe the industry off the face of the earth. The second horseman is the insanity of Marvel Comics. Snowflake and Safespace were 2 killing blows delivered to not only Marvel as a company, but the comic book industry as a whole. This is, without a doubt, the stupidest idea in comic book history. A pair of twins of color named Snowflake and Safespace, one of whom is gender neutral, answering to they, them, the other a woke wanker whose sole power is projecting pink force fields to provide a safe space for others. Holy shit on a fucking stick. This was the worst idea in comic book history, not merely because it's so embarrassingly laughable on every level that it is indistinguishable from a Saturday Night Live parody of itself, but also because everyone hates it. Everyone who still cares about comics absolutely despises this idea. Comic book fans hate it because, well, do I have to say it? Snowflake and Safespace, for fuck's sake. Pink force fields and they, them, and wokeness, oh my. Click those ruby slippered heels together all you want, comic fans. This ain't a dream. You're still in Kansas, and Kansas is not black and white, it's black and pink. And yet, on the flip side of this, the LGBT plus community hates this garbage too, because it's condescending and it's insulting to them. Imagine, the first gender-neutral superhero is not treated with respect as a genuine human character, but as a fucking internet joke. The second horseman of the comic book apocalypse is Marvel, because they have alienated both sides of the argument with their woke madness. And the maddest thing of all, Marvel persists in their folly and doubles down on it despite the overwhelming mockery and scorn their New Warriors project has provoked. Apparently, Marvel has been huffing its own internet gas because despite their New Warrior promotional trailer getting 165,000 downvotes to 3,600 upvotes, a staggering level of public failure that should have Marvel screaming in fear and running for the hills. Despite article after article in the mainstream media decrying this project, despite the outrage from the LGBT plus community, Marvel is still pushing this narrative, alienating their audience, at a time when comic book shops are already reeling from the current shelter-in-place reality we're living in, helping to kill the last vestiges of loyalty and enthusiasm comic book diehards were still nursing along. Internet gas, magic backpacks, Snowflake and Safespace, it is now clear that the new warriors are waging war on the comic book industry itself. I have to stress this again. 165,000 downvotes for the new Warriors trailer. My God, it's full of fail. But does Marvel repent? Does Marvel retract? Does Marvel apologize? Does Marvel cancel this mess? No. Although Marvel has just given Diamond Distributors an extension on what they owe Marvel in the hopes that Diamond can prioritize payment terms with retailers, a move that could help some comic book stores survive a bit longer in this storm. The problem remains not only the dearth of good content and the horrendous timing of Snowflake and Safespace, two characters that exemplify everything that's wrong with the comic book industry today. But they are also assailed by the third horseman of the comic book apocalypse, Arrogance. Today's exemplar of supreme arrogance, Jerry Dugan on Twitter. Nate Niles, in response to a post featuring a project by Jerry Dugan, posted an eye-rolling GIF designed to express exasperation, but nothing else. Jerry Dugan replied, "Nate, wishing you success on your continuing journey outside comics. This is my rebirth," chimed in and responded, "No wonder this industry is tumbling. So professional." Jerry Dugan won't let it go and replies, "You ding-dongs don't get to show up in my mentions and keep your civilian status. You can say whatever the hell you want anywhere you want except in the mentions of someone else." Mechmaster says, "Jerry Dugan, you're an asshole." To which Jerry Dugan replies, "Eat a bag of pre-fucked dicks, but nice grammar." Well, isn't that lovely? Isn't that what you want from a creator representing your company? Isn't that a great way to engage fans and get them to buy your product? This is a perfect example of the supreme insulting arrogance of industry creators toward the buying public, their customers. The cringeworthy lack of respect here is staggering. Blatant and unapologetic rudeness and disdain for the people who used to be comic book fans, adding insult to injury. This third horseman has been riding a long time, trampling over fans and leaving nothing but anger, alienation, and destruction in his wake. Guys like this and Mark Waid have made it very clear that they don't give a shit about their fans. So we have the contagion isolating everyone and grinding business to a halt. We have Marvel creating woke garbage no one wants to buy and ramming it down the throats of already strangling comic shop owners. We have the arrogance of creators actively insulting fans and dividing the audience along political lines. And the fourth horseman? Diamond Distributors itself. Yesterday, an article appeared on Newsarama titled "Comic Book Retailers Struggling After Diamond Pulls Plug on New Comics." Yes, that's right. Comic shop owners have been dealt a final blow by Diamond Distributors. No new product to sell. This article, published on Newsarama on March 25, 2020, says, with Monday's announcement, the Diamond Comic Shop distributors will be suspending delivery of new comics as of April 1st. Comic book retailers across the country are expecting to shut their doors. And most bully publishers should not release content digitally until the direct market returns. I think this needs to be a pause for all comics, regardless of format, meaning no new comics for digital retailers either, says Ben Ray, owner of Atomic Books in Baltimore, Maryland. Otherwise, it gives them an unfair advantage and makes any book stalled in the pipeline utterly unsellable, not to mention turning this into an opportunity to cut shops out altogether and get more folks to buy digital comics. Digital release will keep the comic readers interested, but it won't put any money in the shops that provide these collectibles and a source for parents to keep their kids off the iPads or computer 24/7, says Luis Nueves, owner of Aegis Comics in Alaska. Our customers, many of them eBay sellers, can no longer support their hobby by flipping a digital copy. The removal of the physical print copy disrupts this geek ecosystem. And there's still no answer from the largest direct market publishers, Marvel Comics and DC, about what comes next for digital release or comic book stores, and the lack of communication is frustrating for retailers. Fear and confusion are my two primary feelings at the moment, says Ryan Seymour, owner of Comic Town in Columbus, Ohio. All I know is that there will be no new books for some number of weeks. This has led to me laying off staff that I care for and customers fearing that the industry is dead. And so we have come to the final stage of the comic book apocalypse. In a time when people are self-isolating and not going out to shops, Marvel is creating crappy garbage that pisses everyone off and drives customers away. Creatives are insulting fans and tell them to eat a bag of pre-fucked dicks. And now, finally, none of that matters, because now comic shops won't even have crappy product to sell. They'll have nothing to sell. This is madness. Comic shops are now facing an extinction-level event. How long can they remain closed and still meet rent and salaries? How long can they survive? I fear the answer, but I tell you this. The devastation in this industry being wrought by these four horsemen cannot be overstated. And as much as I hate to say it, this is most likely the end for comics. Because when the comic shops close, where will people be exposed to comics anymore? Whence go the comic shops? Go comics as a whole. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.